They told you that if it hasn't happened yet, it might not be meant to happen. They whispered that delay is defeat, that silence is abandonment, but heaven has a different language. What looks like a delay to man is often divine preparation in the eyes of God. You think you're standing still, forgotten, passed by, but you're actually being forged. You are not stuck. You are being shaped. The fire you feel is not to burn you, but to refine you. The delay is not a denial. It is a design, because before God ever promotes, he prepares. Before he releases destiny, he lays foundation. And the deeper the call, the longer the process. The greater the anointing, the heavier the preparation. God doesn't rush masterpieces, the most sacred things in creation, the stars, the mountains, the womb, take time. So why would your calling come quickly? Do you think Joseph enjoyed the pit? Did David rejoice in the cave? Did Moses celebrate the wilderness? No. But it was in those places that God made men out of boys, leaders out of wanderers, warriors out of shepherds, and just like them, your delay is not a detour, it is part of the blueprint. Sometimes we pray for the door and God gives us a wall, not to block us, but to build us. Because if he gave you the door too early, you wouldn't have the wisdom to walk through it. You wouldn't have the discernment to know what to do once you're inside. So he waits. He waits until the noise dies down, until your heart is humble, until your motives are pure, until you are ready not just to receive the blessing, but to carry it with integrity. What if the thing you've been waiting for is being held back because God's protecting it from the wrong version of you? What if he's letting certain things fall apart so something greater can be built within you? We're so focused on outcomes, on destinations, on breakthroughs, while God is focused on inner work, on your spirit, your mindset, your endurance, because what he's preparing you for isn't just a moment, it's a mantle. And mantles don't fall on shallow roots. They fall on those who have been broken, emptied, quieted, and filled again. That's why your season of delay feels like pressure, because pressure is what makes diamonds. That's why it feels like you're in the fire, because fire is what purifies gold. That's why it feels lonely, because isolation births revelation. God doesn't build champions in the crowd, he builds them in secret. So if you feel hidden, you are not forgotten. If you feel behind, you are not overlooked. If you feel weary, you are not disqualified. You are in the place where God does his best work, when the noise is gone, when the calendar disappoints, when your plans fall through. That's where destiny is born, so don't misread your delay, don't curse the silence, don't abandon the process, because the very thing you're calling a delay, God is calling a stage. The longer the pause, the more weight your next season will carry. The longer it takes, the more oil will be on your name. He's teaching you to wait, not because he wants you to suffer, but because he wants you to reign well when the time comes. The delay is stretching your faith. It's crucifying your pride. It's aligning your will with his, and when the moment comes, you'll see it wasn't a delay at all. It was a divine setup. You prayed for purpose, and he gave you time. You asked for promotion, and he gave you pruning. You wanted elevation, and he gave you the wilderness, and now, the longer you've waited, the more powerful your yes becomes. You're not the same person you were when the promise was first spoken. You're stronger now. Wiser now, deeper now, and when God releases it, when the doors swing open, there will be no doubt that it was him, because what comes from heaven doesn't need to be forced. It flows, it aligns, it multiplies. So if you're in that space where nothing seems to be moving, if you're looking at closed doors and unanswered prayers, remember, your delay is not your defeat. It's the season God has chosen to build what no one can see. To plant what will bear fruit in a time only he can appoint. Let the world rush, let others run ahead. You stay the course, because your delay is divine. It's easy to trust when you see results, when things move, when prayers are answered, when doors open. But what about the times when everything is still, when it seems like heaven has gone quiet and the road ahead is hidden in shadow? That's where many lose heart, because silence feels like absence, but it's not. God is never inactive. He is always working, especially when it seems like he's doing nothing at all. What you cannot see is often more important than what you can. While you're waiting, God is weaving. While you're still, heaven is orchestrating. There is a realm beyond your sight where pieces are being placed, hearts are being stirred, obstacles are being removed, all without your awareness. You think you're just in a waiting season, but in reality, you're in a warfare season, not against you, but asterisk for asterisk you. God is fighting battles you never knew existed. Delays that frustrated you were actually protections in disguise. Closed doors were not rejections, they were divine shields. Detours were not mistakes, they were reroutes that kept you from devastation. And through it all, God was working in the unseen, positioning things for a time you don't yet know you'll need. There are times God delays the blessing not because it isn't ready, but because asterisk you asterisk aren't ready for what's coming with it. You prayed for the opportunity, but didn't realize it came with responsibility. You asked for influence, but didn't yet have the endurance. You sought elevation, but needed deeper roots. So while it looked like nothing was moving, God was moving in you. He was working on the parts of your life you'd rather skip over: the pride, the fear, the doubt, the impatience. He was breaking things down to build something stronger. He was removing counterfeit options so that when the real thing came, you'd know it wasn't a copy. He was shaping your identity so that your purpose wouldn't be tied to applause or status or outcomes. What's happening around you may look like delay, but what's happening asterisk within asterisk you is divine. God often works underground before he shows fruit above the surface. The roots grow long before the tree stands tall. And what he's planting in your life can't be rushed, because when God is truly involved, the foundation has to go deep. He won't bless what will break you. He won't release what will ruin you, and he won't answer what you'll mishandle. So he waits, he works, he watches, and the enemy wants you to get impatient. He wants you to start moving in your own strength, creating your own answers, stepping outside of the covering. Because when you do that, you step away from the flow of divine order. But if you can trust that God is working even when nothing makes sense, if you can hold still even when everything in you wants to rush, then you will see something far greater than just an answer. You'll see evidence. Evidence that heaven was always active, that God was always ahead of you, and that the silence was never empty. It was full of intention. Your life is not random. Every step, every pause, every twist in the path has meaning. Some of the greatest breakthroughs you'll ever walk into will come not because you forced them, but because you asterisk waited well. Asterisk because you stayed faithful in the quiet, because you chose character over comfort, because you believed that even in the unseen, God was setting the stage for something beyond your ability to plan. You'll never know what he saved you from. You'll never fully understand the traffic he rerouted, the people he removed, the opportunities he blocked, not to punish you, but to preserve you. Sometimes the greatest miracles are the ones that didn't happen, the ones God stopped, the prayers he didn't answer, the doors he didn't open because he saw what you couldn't, and he worked while you waited. And now, when it comes, when the moment finally arrives, you'll see why the silence was necessary. You'll realize that the delay wasn't dead time, it was holy time, time where heaven worked behind the scenes to prepare a promise not just for your life, but for the lives connected to you, because your calling is not just about you, it's about the generations that will rise from your obedience. So keep walking, keep trusting, keep standing in the unseen, because when you can't see what God is doing, it doesn't mean he isn't doing anything. It just means he's doing more than you can imagine. There's a timing in heaven that doesn't answer to our clocks. It doesn't bend to deadlines. It doesn't panic when years pass or doors stay shut, because divine timing isn't about speed, it's about strategy. You may feel late, but God is never late, and when his hand moves, it moves with precision. What you thought you missed, you didn't miss, it just wasn't your moment. You see, divine appointments don't happen in our convenience. They happen in God's order. And his order is higher than ours, wiser than ours, and rooted in eternal purpose. Some of the greatest doors you will ever walk through are not the ones you chased. They are the ones that waited for you. Not because you weren't ready to desire them, but because you weren't ready to carry them. Timing isn't just about events aligning, it's about you aligning. The right opportunity at the wrong time can crush you. But the right opportunity in God's time will establish you, so He waits. He waits until you're not just hungry for the blessing, but anchored enough to handle it, until you're not driven by emotion, but led by wisdom, until your spirit is no longer reaching out in desperation, but standing in trust. Think of Esther. One moment, she's hidden in a kingdom where no one knows her name. The next, she's in a palace positioned to shift the destiny of a nation. But none of that was coincidence. Her placement was divine, and her timing was sacred. She didn't make it happen. God did. When the right moment came, everything aligned: the need, the voice, the courage, the favor. That's divine timing. That's what happens when you stop striving and start surrendering. When you stop manipulating the outcome and start trusting the one who holds it. You were never meant to chase every door. Some doors are only meant to open to you. Not because of you. That's how you know they're divine. You won't have to push them open by force. They'll open by assignment, because heaven doesn't need your hustle, it needs your obedience. You're not being overlooked. You're being reserved for a moment that carries weight, reserved for a place where your presence won't just fill space, but shift atmospheres, reserved for a role that only the becoming you can fulfill. And while you wait, something deeper is being arranged. God is moving pieces you can't see. He's preparing rooms where your name is already known. He's aligning people you haven't met, speaking your name in circles you haven't entered, orchestrating divine collisions that can only happen when the time is right. You think nothing is happening, but heaven is in motion. You think the silence means delay, but it actually means the timing is too holy to rush. That's why it's so dangerous to compare, because someone else's breakthrough isn't your benchmark. Their timing is not your template. They may be stepping into something today that you won't walk into for another year, but when you do, it will be exactly as it should be. When it's God's time, things will happen with a velocity and clarity that man can't engineer. Things will fall into place, and you'll know it wasn't your strength, your plan, or your strategy. It was divine. We cry out for God to move, and He will, but only when the table is set, the timing is ripe, and the vessel is ready. And when He moves, it will not just bless you, it will bless others through you. That's the power of divine appointments. They're never just about personal success. They are about kingdom impact. They carry a ripple effect. One moment of obedience, one timely yes, can unlock generations of transformation, and that's why the delay matters, because it ensures that when you arrive, you don't just show up. You step into alignment with purpose that's been waiting for you all along. So don't rush what's sacred. Don't resent what's still forming. Don't curse the waiting when the waiting is building something your eyes can't see. Divine timing may not make sense in the moment, but when the page turns, you'll understand why it couldn't happen any sooner. Because what's coming wasn't meant to be early, it was meant to be right, and when it comes, you'll know it wasn't random, it wasn't luck, it was divine.